Hello everyone, my name is Kenny Davis and today I'm here to talk about ASD, more commonly known as the autism spectrum disorder. I will be talking from the point of view of someone who has autism, so a lot of the things I'm going to talk about are from my point of view, so just keep that in mind. Another thing I think you should keep in mind is that autism is a wide spectrum and not everyone is the same. Try not to generalize. Some people are higher functioning and some people are lower functioning. It affects people in different ways. I guess there's different levels to it and layers. So with that out of the way, let's move on. A lot of people seem to think that vaccines can cause autism, and I just really want to say that I completely reject that theory. I completely disagree with it. I think it's just like something that a bunch of trolls came up with. Like, first of all, autism is a neurological disorder. It's something you're born with. There have been no proven links between autism and vaccines. So I think that that's just a very, just complete, false statement, You show signs from it from a very young age, It's not really something that the vaccine affects. I think vaccines have nothing to do with it. I feel like if they did, it could probably be proven, but it hasn't. So that's one thing I just wanted to say. People born with autism show signs from a very young age, and these signs may include inability to express emotions and feelings, abnormal tone of voice, avoidance of eye contact, irregular speech patterns, a delay in learning to speak, behavioural disturbances and inappropriate social interactions. So if your child is showing signs of this, or your friend, go, get them checked out just to make sure. So if they do have autism, you can support them and become a little bit more understanding and educate yourself and help them become the best them they can be. So one thing I really want to talk about is the fact that there are high rates of depression and suicide within the autism community. There's a lot of speculation as to why, but the most likely reason could be them not being able to express their feelings and emotions, not feeling understood, feeling like no one would understand, feeling that their feelings aren't valid. And I think we need to start talking about this, and I think we need to start letting them know that, they're not alone. There are people that can help. And I'm not just talking about autistic people, I'm talking about people who are having suicidal feelings at all, who are suffering from depression. I think that, no one should ever feel that they have to take their own life just because, they feel misunderstood, or life is getting too hard. It can be very frustrating for, an autistic person to go through life. I mean, me personally, learning is such a difficult thing for me, especially things like maths and, things like science, and I like biology, that's it. Everything else is it means nothing to me, it's boring, so it just goes through one ear and out the other. So, it can be really difficult, especially for someone who has it on a much more severe level, who is maybe considered lower functioning. It can be very hard, and I can understand how you can get to a point where you feel like suicide is the only option, because, it's not just not feeling good enough in the sense that work and education, but also, a lot of autistic people struggle with relationships, friendships, romance, so I can understand why people get to that point, but you can't be taking your life, you know. You were put on this earth for a reason. It may also be hard for them to verbalise their feelings. Me personally, I am a very emotionally dead human being. I really don't like showing emotions. I just feel weak when I do. I only really show, like, happiness, but, like, that's about it. And, like, sometimes anger, but oh well. I think it's important that we talk about this because, you know, the children of this generation are our future. They're kind of what makes the future generations, and it just so happens that some of those children have autism, and, you know, they can do some great things, you know. So I strongly disagree with, you know, the decision to take your own life, and I think that we need to start talking about this and helping them in the best way we can. If you have a history of autism or any other disorder, then you're much more likely to have children with it. On my mother's side of the family, autism and other disorders, you know, it's you know, it runs in my mother's blood. So when she had me, and she also has a brother who has autism too, so, you know, when she had me and when I kind of got older, she kind of knew, and she had me checked out, and by the age of 6 or 7 I was diagnosed with autism, ADHD, learning difficulties and tics. So, you know, I just want to say, you know, if someone, you know, has one thing, you know, they very well could have another thing, you know. I think, you know, my ADHD and my autism and my learning difficulties and my tics, I think it kind of overlaps a lot. And the same with, you know, the high rates of depression in autistic people. I think that's because, you know, when you have one thing, you can have another, and, you know, it can very well overlap and have strong connections. So, obviously, due to me, you know, having these things, I was obviously very weird, like I stated. Growing up, I was the target of bullying, pretty badly from, like, the age of, well, basically since, like, primary school, the whole way through up until, like, year 8, year 9. And people are still really horrible, and, you know, it sucks, but I think that now it's more so because they just don't like me. But I was always different to the other kids. I wasn't very social, I wasn't very emotional, like I said. I also like was very shy and awkward, so, you know, making friends was very hard. I didn't really have many friends. I kind of bounced from friend to friend, you know, so I never really felt like I ever had a true friend up until, like, a year ago. And obviously being bullied so badly because, you know, I wasn't the smartest or because I had weird behaviour definitely did affect me. You know, I like to act like I'm really tough, and it did affect me. You know, I became a very miserable and nasty person, and, you know, I, you know, am embarrassed that I let myself get to that point, and I just want you to know that just because you know, life is going bad, whether it be because, you know, you have autism or whatever other reason, try not to let yourself become the one thing you hate. So, even though I never really bullied anyone, but I was pretty bitchy. You know, now things are progressing in society. Like, we have schools, you know, you can get your checked out and diagnosed, and, you know, there's lots of things that can help, but I feel like the main problem is the like, most people just don't know anything about it. I was never at any point really taught about it in school. To be honest, I've never really been taught about things that mattered, to be honest, so sorry schools that I've been to, but, you know, you need to sort yourself out. I think we need to help support autistic people. We need to start making a difference. No one, like I said, no one should feel like they have to take their own life, you know. A lot of people with autism are just written off as retarded, and it's not right. We can do great things just like everyone else. I mean, there's Steve Jobs, the inventor of Apple, you know, he's the reason why we have iPhones, and he had autism, and he was like one of the richest people ever. And also Hans Christian Andersen, who wrote the famous and gruesome story of The Little Mermaid, which was later adapted into the Disney movie we all know and love, and inspired many other movies after that. And we also have Albert Einstein, who was believed to be autistic, and look at everything he did. Like, he practically invented maths. So, you know, just because you're autistic doesn't mean, you know, the odds are stacked against you. You know, you can do great things. You just have to try, and you have to never give up, and you have to believe in yourself. And that's honestly, even if you're not autistic, that's something to go by. Just try, and try. And don't stop trying until the day you die. That's pretty much my speech. I hope you liked it, and I'll be back with another video. Bye.